Being anti-SPLM is not a crime. It's part of democracy. So unless Peter Lam Both is saying that everyone in South Sudan must support SPLM or else the social media would be shut down. Hello everyone, welcome again to Kriti TV. So this video is about, as you can see, the Secretary General of the SPLM, Peter Lam Both. So Peter Lam Both has been very vocal of late, and he's been saying many controversial things since he was appointed as the Secretary General of the SPLM, Sudan People's Liberation Movement. But this video is about a recent statement he uttered about the social media. I think it's a partisan statement, but there are some things we can also critique in what he says. As many of you know, it's not always just about you hearing something. It's about giving something the context in which people can understand it. So listen to what he's just saying.
First of all, even you yourself, you know this. You yourself, you know this, because you are always on the net. But it is not legal for us to disclose people's names. But you should know that we have them, and we have talked to them. And they have admitted that they are paid by some people to do what they do against the government.
Now, here's the thing. If he knows that there's some young people on the social media who are being paid by some politicians, he knows the names of these young people, he knows the names of the politicians, then who is the problem? The problem is not the young people, the problem is the politicians. So why can't he go after the politicians through legal means? So by talking to young people, I don't think he's going to find anything, because if these young people are being influenced by these politicians, then he has to counter what those politicians are saying. All right. So that would be the best way.
And all my advice to our young people is that don't allow yourselves to be used for this purpose, because these are dirty works of political leaders who want to come into government using you. And once they get in, you will never see them again. And these are the same people who were in the government since 2005.
Okay. He knows he's a politician, so we know that what he's saying is to support SPLM, and he's going to say whatever it takes within the law to support SPLM. So there's nothing surprising in the fact that he's supporting the SPLM and he's taking the position of the SPLM. He's the Secretary General, after all, of the SPLM. Now, here's the thing. SPLM is a political party. There are the opposition parties in South Sudan, whether they are actual political parties with offices within South Sudan, or they are these briefcase political parties in Nairobi or Kampala or Addis Ababa or things like that. What he can do is to see what are these politicians telling these young people, so that he can counter for these young people to support SPLM. By challenging young people and threatening to shut down the social media without countering what those politicians are saying, then he's basically doing nothing, because supporting SPLM is not some sort of a natural right by the SPLM leaders or for people of South Sudan to support SPLM. There's no such a thing. So what he should understand is, if those politicians are using some unsavory means to convince young people to say things against the SPLM, then that's the nature of politics. All over the world, that's how politics works. So he's not. You cannot just tell people, "Oh, don't be used by these politicians. They were in government previously, but they didn't do anything to you. So don't support them, or don't be used by them." What exactly is SPLM, as led by the chairman Kiramaya did now, and Peter himself as the Secretary General? What are they doing to support young people? Young people are not employed; they're sidelined within the government. So the idea that you can just tell people, don't be used by these politicians, because if they come into power, they will ignore you. They are being ignored even today. So What are your strategies to convince people, these young people, so that they don't support them? They're not going to stop supporting them if they're paid because you said so. They'll only stop supporting them because they have reason you give them.
What do you think they will do in the second coming? Why would righteousness be acquired in the second time?
What are you doing to them now? What is the government doing to them? If you're asking that, what?
When they were not the first time. You know, I have said in my last statement that SPLM is for freedom, expression, and speech.
Okay, SPLM is for freedom of expression and speech. Good for you. So, okay.
But when it is abused, it becomes a crime.
Okay, what does it mean to abuse the freedom of speech and expression? How do you abuse it?
We have the capacity to shut down social media in South Sudan. We have that.
You as who? SPLM or the government?
And don't tell people. We are the one who are saying don't shut down social media as SPLM. But if we put our hands up, if the social media becomes an anti-SPLM, we will put our hands up and will allow those who have capacity to shut it down to do that.
Okay. So he's threatening people on the social media, but he's at the same time playing a good guy. That the only reason why the social media is not being shut down now in South Sudan is because of the SPLM, because the SPLM favors, likes, or supports freedom of expression and speech. So they are preventing the authorities that can shut down the social media. So they're the people doing you the favor. But if they wash their hands and say, fine, the social media has become anti SPLM, then they will shut it down. But here's the thing, being anti SPLM is not a crime, it's part of democracy. So unless Peter Lam Both is saying that everyone in South Sudan must support SPLM or else the social media would be shut down. That would be really strange. And that would mean that there's no freedom of expression and speech. Being anti, as he said, that's the way Americans say it, being anti SPLM is not a crime. And neither is it bad politics. What he can say is, what do people say against the SPLM? That does not align with what SPLM is doing. That's what he should say. If there's something people on the social media are saying, and they say SPLM does such a thing, but SPLM is not doing it, then that's what he can say. But being anti-SPLM is not a crime. And if you shut down the social media because social media has become anti-SPLM, then you're losing ground. Because the question you should ask is, why are people anti-SPLM? If they're being paid by people to be anti-SPLM, then you're losing the political war. If you have money, pay people. Why would people accept what those politicians are saying if they're paid when you also pay some people to say some things against other politicians? We also know there are people who are being paid by the government, by SPLM, to say some things against other politicians. So you cannot come and cry, in the social media that the social media has become anti-SPLM. It's what the government is doing. You are the party in power. What are you doing? What strategies are you using to convince young people not to be anti-SPLM? It's not to threaten them. It's not to threaten them. So the best way is come out as the Secretary General of the SPLM. Tell us what is the strategy to make sure that young people are employed, young people are listened to, young people are talked to by the authorities with the respect, and being told this is our plan, this is the SPLM strategy with the youth. What is it? Instead of threatening people. For those of you who don't know, Peter Lam Both was an exceptional intellectual when he was in Canada, when he was in Calgary. He was one of the leaders of the SPLM, in the diaspora, and he would be invited to, for example, community meetings. He would come to any community meeting. Doesn't matter what ethnic group it was, and the way he talked as a leader. What is happening to him today is what Americans say, he's drank the Kool-Aid. That's not the Peter Both we used to know. So, Mr. Lam, just fix the SPLM so that young people can flock back to the SPLM instead of threatening people. Thank you.